Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's live stream, GuitarQuest lesson. And today we're going to be carrying on with a couple of bits we covered last week, or a couple of weeks back now. But we're also going to get onto La Bamba, as I mentioned last time. I'll put a video out about it as well, giving you sort of a heads up as to what we might be doing. So if you saw that, then you've got a good idea. If not, you probably know the song, so you've probably got a pretty good idea what it's going to be like anyway. So let's crack on. So first of all, I would just say if you've got any devices on that have any notifications pinging away, probably best to turn those off, just so we get our undivided half an hour's guitar time. If there are any children watching, I would suggest an adult in the room just to help explain a few of the ideas and things as well. And that's pretty much it. I think I've got the chat function as well, so if you've got any questions, please do fire away, and I'll either answer them as we go or save them to the end. So yeah, let's check our tuning to begin with then. So it's our top E, so just try and make sure your guitar sounds the same as this. So remember, you just want to adjust the peg or the tuning or machine nut just to get the same pitch really. We'll go on to the B. Okay, and then on to G, which is our third string. And then we're going to go on to D, which is the fourth string. A, our fifth string, and then finally bottom E, which is our sixth string. Okay, cool. So those are the strings. That's standard pitch tuning. So if you've got guitar tuners, and as long as you've got them set up right, that should be exactly the same. The other thing, just to mention, and this is actually something that came up in a lesson the other day. I was chatting to someone about it, and it was allowing that guitar to sort of slide away from you a little bit, which means when you go to play, you've got to kind of reach around a little bit more. You might want to sort of drop the shoulder a bit, and we don't want to do that. So we try and keep the guitar nice and upright. You'll even see some people playing that they'll lean forward a little bit, which makes it even easier. However, the more upright it is and so on, the more difficult it is to see the notes, so the frets and that. So it's a balancing act until you feel really confident with it, and then at which time you won't need to look and so on, and everything will be a lot easier. So okay, cool. So we will go over a couple of bits from GuitarQuest 3, and then we'll get stuck into La Bamba. So our warm up was going to be number 18 from GuitarQuest 3. So that's In the Field. It's on page 13. It is the one that has quite a few hammer-ons, and the main one we were watching out for was the A to the B, primarily because it's a bit more difficult. So you play the A, try and keep that finger held down, and then you push that finger down, and you should hear the sound of that note at the 4th fret, which is the B, without having to repluck the string. So we get that kind of sound. I've talked about that in a couple of lessons previously, so I'm not going to go into it in too much detail. If you've got any questions, do fire away, but otherwise I'm just going to assume we're generally okay with it, and so we'll get stuck into it. So number 18 then, In the Field, after 4. Okay, so 3, 4. Trickier one. 2, and then the 3rd line. 2, and then we stay on that G. Trickier one. Back to G. Okay, cool. And so that is In the Field from GuitarQuest 3, a Guitar Odyssey. And that, yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, we've sort of talked about that one before. So if you're unsure about it or any aspects of it, probably best to watch some of the old videos, which are all on my YouTube channel, so you can find them there. One other thing I was just going to mention is with the right hand, do you play it all with a thumb or do you use a mixture of thumb and fingers? It doesn't really matter. I did a bit of both. I can't remember what I did in the previous lessons when we talked about it. So yeah, I mixed it up a little bit. But whatever feels comfortable, really. Ultimately, we just want the tune to sound good and you know, notes to ring into each other nicely and that kind of thing. So yeah, I wouldn't get too hung up on the right hand and what we should be doing there. So let's move on then. So we turn the page and we've got exercise 19. So just a quick recap that in this section we're talking about finding the open string notes but as fretted notes. So just as a recap, our top E, we're going to find that second string 5th fret. B, which is our open second string, we're going to get that 3rd string 4th fret. Then G is the 4th string 5th fret, and that's obviously the same as the open 3rd, or should be. And then we've got D, 5th string 5th fret, and that should be the same as your open 4th string. And then finally A, which is our 6th string 5th fret, and that will be the same as the open 5th. So that's just kind of recapping the idea that the same note can be found in different places on the guitar, and finding them around the 4th and the 5th fret is the sort of the starting point of that. And as we move up the fretboard, we start repeating more and more notes. So that's where number 19 comes in, which is Journey. So again, we talked about this reasonably thoroughly in previous lessons. So if you find it tricky for any reason, then best to watch that back. Basically, wherever we've got a little number next to what might appear to be an open string, so for example in the first bar we've got a D, which you might think of as being open 4th, we're actually going to find it 5th string 5th fret, and we're going to use the pinky finger. And you've got the string and a ring idea above as well, above the notation. So you know, you've got first 2 notes on the 5th string, then the next 3 notes on the 4th string, and so on. So that's kind of the ideas anyway. So let's give it a go, see how you get on. I would probably on the right hand just use the thumb primarily for most of it. When you get onto the 3rd string, you start going to the higher strings, I'll probably switch to fingers. Probably wouldn't use the thumb at that point. You could go fingers the whole way through, you know, but I would mix it up if I were you. So, okay, here we go, after 4. Okay, so 3, 4. G at the 5th fret, 2, 3, 4, similar idea. Back to the D on the 5th string, 2, 3, 4, same ideas again. G there, we're going to get an open B. Back to the 5th string D, and then the open G, and then we're going to go to the A, up to the G, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, back to the beginning. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, second line. Open B. And then that D down there. So as I said, we've talked about this one in more detail in the past, so again, check out a couple of more recent lessons if you found that tricky. Otherwise, we're going to have a go at number 20, which is the last one that we played in the book, and then we're going to get onto the Bamba after that. So number 20, same kind of ideas, and effectively for anyone that knows their C chord shape, what we're really doing is moving it up 2 frets. So we get, looking at the first bar there, we've got the D and the F sharp, open G, and then an F sharp. So we can get all those notes whilst holding that that C shape down, but obviously just a couple of frets higher than normal. And then from there, we're just going to move, like lift the middle finger off, move the third finger over to the 4th string, and then we get the open Gs, or fretted G and open G. Then we go back to that C shape. And move the finger across again. Back to the C shape. Across again, and this bit we've got to add the pinky to the 2nd string 5th fret. In theory you could play an open E, that wouldn't be the end of the world, but the technical challenge is to try and get a little bit more strength and coordination over the pinky finger, hence using that one there. And then as we do the 2nd to last line, back onto that C shape. Move that 3rd finger over, keeping that 1st finger down. I'm going to get the pinky down for the E, and then lift up to get the D. And then we've got our instruction DSL coda, so we go back to the segno sign, which is the start of the 2nd line, and it's the symbol that looks a little bit like a $sign. We play that line again, we see the instruction saying da coda, which tells us go to the coda, which means we then drop down to the final line, which has that other funny looking symbol, and that sort of describes that excuse me, that describes that section as being the coda, and therefore that's what we play to finish off with. And that final coda line, and we'll play it together in just a second, so we're on that C shape again, and then we move the 3rd finger across, pinky down and then off, and then back, move that 3rd finger back over as if you're going to the C shape. You don't necessarily need to in sort of the fullness of the shape, because you only need that one note. But if we can keep that 1st finger held down, then those 2 Ds ring into each other, and that's going to obviously sound a bit nicer. So let's give it a go. We'll see how we get on. So starting on the D, 5th string 5th fret, remembering that it's basically the C chord shape. I've been watching these lessons over the last, I can't remember when we did the C chord, sometime in the last 6 months. Then if you know that shape, then we just slide that up. I just see the question. I have a problem with the fingers. It's my 2nd day playing. I just learned 7 important chords and I'm playing acoustic and it's painful. Do I need to stop for a day? Okay, well, if you've learned the chords, it's painful. I think you've got to make a judgment call. It will be painful a little bit when you start off, especially if you're playing a steel strum guitar. The strings are a little bit more cutting. So yeah, if it's really hurting, I would stop and give yourself a break. If you feel like, okay, it's a bit painful, but it's not the end of the world, then try and carry on. It's one of those things that when you play guitar, you do kind of have to go through that, but you want to be kind to yourself as well. You know, you don't want to. You're not going to do yourself an injury provided you're playing correctly and that kind of thing. So yeah, I would just be kind to yourself and do what feels right. That'd be my advice. You know, without obviously seeing you, it's difficult to say. But that would be my suggestion anyway. So hope that helps. Okay, so let's try number 20. We're going to run through it once and we're going to get onto La Bamba after that. So here we go. after 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to move that third finger over. And drop back into the C shape. Third finger over again. Back to the C shape. And move the third finger over again. We're going to add the pinky to the 5th fret, 2nd string, back to the C shape. Third finger over again. Pinky down, then off, back to the 2nd line. Move the 3rd finger over again. To the coda, which is the last line. Move the 3rd finger over again. Then we're going to pinky down, off, and then move the 3rd finger back to pick up the D on the 5th string. So there we go. That is it's a reasonably tricky one. I think initially my hope is that, well, not hope I suppose. The feedback I've had is that it is quite a tricky one, but my hope is that because it's the same kind of thing, just kind of moving around, that it becomes okay or better, becomes playable fairly quickly. But you know, let me know what you think. Just in relation to the previous question about like fingers hurting and things like that, I've seen another comment there about playing, starting with a nylon strung guitar and then transition to a steel guitar. That is a really common approach, particularly for children. You know, when you might not know if they're going to continue or whatever as well. So cheap nylon strung guitars are readily available. So it's a good sort of way into it, I think, before transitioning onto steel, or you know, electric guitars would be steel strings as well. So. Cool. There's another comment there. I feel more comfortable playing E with the 3rd finger. You could, yeah. So the thing with that is that you'd have to lose your bass note to get. You'd have to move that finger over, I presume, to get to that note. And if you do that, then obviously we lose a little bit of that chordy, harmonic kind of feeling within the song. So that's why I would suggest try and go with the pinky finger. It's also worth knowing that everybody finds the pinky finger has a mind of its own to begin with. So if you find it's a bit of a struggle, it's one of those things that's totally worth persevering with, rather than just thinking, oh, I don't like using the pinky finger, it's hard work and so on. It will get better. It definitely will get better. So and you get more control. Yeah, I've seen people play in the past, and you say try and make a G, for example, and they go to do it, and they've actually physically got to get their other hand and place that pinky finger down to get to the right fret. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you've got to do that initially to get your fingers in the right place, and then obviously, hopefully, you start to get the control, and everything progresses from there. So, the other thing, just in relation to the comment about having only just started. So this is book 3 of the GuitarQuest series. You're very, very welcome to watch and join in as much as you can. Obviously, because it's book 3, that suggests there's 2 other books, which there are. So if you go to my YouTube channel, there's a whole course on book 1 and book 2, which would obviously eventually lead you up to where we're at the moment. So that covers that. Let's move on to La Bamba, which was obviously what we talked about last time. So hopefully if you're on the mailing list, and you're watching this, then you'd have received the email with the music. But if not, let me know in the comments and we'll sort something out. So yeah, I'll just bring the music up onto the screen briefly. If you just bear with me just a second. So because we have been playing all the GuitarQuest, we've been doing the GuitarQuest course, we've been learning all these notes. Then when we look at this, so I'm just going to select that, no, that's the wrong one, that's it. So, in fact, so I'm just going to change something else quickly, just so you can see the cursor a bit more. So these notes here, G, A, B, C, E, G, F, A, G, these are all notes that we've learned. There's nothing new in here that we haven't covered previously in the GuitarQuest lessons. So hopefully this will feel, certainly the main intro riff and the main riff itself will hopefully feel very doable. The chord bit, when we get to it, that might be a different story, but you know, we'll see how we go. So let's start then. So we're going to kick off. In fact, I'll just play you the intro section. So we're coming in just after beat 3. So we go 1, 2, 3. So let's break that down a little bit. So we're starting on the G, 6th string, 3rd fret, and then we're really there's no sharps or flats in this. We're just kind of walking up the scale to the note C. So we're going to go G, A, B, C, and we come in on the and after 3. So we go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and that's kind of all there is on that first bit. So that takes us to the first note of bar 2. What ideally we want to do is make a little bit of a C chord. So hopefully if you know your C chord, you know you'd have the 5th string, 3rd fret down, and we're just going to add the middle finger to the 4th string, 2nd fret, and that will give us the note E, which means when we play bar 2, we've got the C, then the E, 4th string, and then the G, 3rd string. And sorry, another quick question, what position is it? This is just our normal playing position, sorry, I should have mentioned that. So kind of around frets 1 to 3. So G at the 3rd fret, open A, B at the 2nd fret, C at the 3rd fret, those 3 on the A string, and then we make a little bit of a C chord shape. We can get the E there, and then the open G. So if I just play that again, so it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and you can hear those, hopefully anyway, you can hear those notes ringing into each other, and that, again, that just helps create the sound. Obviously originally this is really fast, so it's all going to fly by very quickly, but if we can get these principles down, it's going to help make it sound even better. So okay, so we've done in bar 2 the first 3 notes. Then basically what we're going to do is take these 2 fingers and move them across the string. So we end up on the F with our 3rd finger, our middle finger is now on the A. So we play the F, then we play the A, then we're going to lift that 3rd finger off to get the G. So you've got that bar there is. So hopefully that makes sense. So why don't we try that first line together then. So nice and slow, we'll get this kind of speed as we see. So something like that. Okay, so after 3, good luck everybody. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and then start the next line. So bar 3, that G, we're going to hold it over at the end of the 2nd bar for half a beat, and then we come in with this next bit. So talk that through. So we're going to go to the G, same as our starting note, then to the B. So again, it's the same kind of shape. If you think we were on the sort of a little bit of a C chord, a little bit of an F, and then we come over to the G. If it helps to think about that. Now, in the GuitarQuest lessons, we haven't talked about the F chord yet, for good reason. It's quite difficult, and so people usually don't like it. So, but we will talk about it. Maybe not today, because I think we might run out of time. But in the course of talking about the Bamba, we will be talking about it. So, let's try that start of the second line. We come in on the and after one, so we're going to go, so it'd be 1 and 2 and up to the F. Sorry, I haven't talked through that bit, have I? So we go G, B, D. So like the C chord shape, but moved over to the 6th and the 5th strings. G, B, D. Then we're going to get over to the 3rd string on the 4th string, 3rd fret for our F, and we've got 2 of those. And then an E at the 2nd fret, and then D at the 4th, open 4th string. So you've got F, F, E, D. So we're just kind of walking down the scale there. Okay, so that, let's try that bar, so 3rd bar together. Okay, so after, I'll count us in 3, 4, 1, and then we go. Okay, so 3, 4, 1. And 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So now we're going to try and put the first 3 bars together. So this is what it's going to sound like. So that you can hear is kind of like the main iconic part of the Bamba. So we'll go slower than that, but let's try it together. Okay, so after 3, so we're at the hand after 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 and 4 and C, E, G, F, A, G, rest, G, B, D, F, F, E, D. Okay, that's that bit. Let's try it again. I'm going to go actually a little bit slower than that. So here we go again. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so that takes us to the end of the 3rd bar. So hopefully this is all making sense so far. Please do let me know if it isn't. So as we go on to the 4th bar, this is basically the same or very similar to the 2nd bar. So we've got the C, and we can make the C chord shape or a little bit of it. We don't need the 1st finger down. So you've got the C, E, G. Then we can move these fingers over. So we've got F, 2 A's, and then an open G. So it's all pretty similar really. The only difference between the 2nd bar and the 4th bar is we've got an extra A in on the and after 3. So let's try a bar 4 together actually. Okay, so after 4, excuse me, okay, so 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and rest. So at that point, that's where the sound cuts out and trying to think in the song, I think just the band kind of kicks in at that point. So, but yeah, let's try it together from the beginning, see if we can work the whole way through that intro. Okay, so the and after 3 is where we come in. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 Okay, so that was really just the introduction to the Bamba. So just a heads up, what you want to be doing with that, obviously start slow, take it that kind of speed, and then just gradually, try and increase the tempo. 2, 3, 4. Then what we'll be doing next time is looking at a sort of a rhythm part. That kind of thing. So from a chord perspective, brush up on your C chord if you're a bit unsure, brush up on the G chord. Again, these are both chords we've talked about before. The F chord we will get on to probably next week, but we'll see. It depends how people get on with it and so on. So yeah, so as always with these kind of things, just take your time with it. Don't go too fast. Try and make sure you're paying attention to the timing as well as the notes, and hopefully you should be fine. Hopefully it'll all sound great. So okay, that is going to be a good place for us to finish up for today. So thank you for all the comments. There's been quite a lot today, which is really nice. So yeah, so things to practice then. I would suggest we do, as a bit of a warm-up for next time, we'll have a go at exercise 19 from GuitarQuest 3. We'll go over exercise 20 again as well, and then the rest of our focus will be on the next part of La Bamba. So if you've got any questions, please do fire away in the chat. I'll hang around for another couple of minutes. Other than that, we'll be back again, or I'll be back again next week. Hopefully you can join me. So it'll be next Thursday, 6:15 PM UK time. I think that's pretty much it. So if you enjoyed the lesson, please do give it a thumbs up. It'll be uploaded to my YouTube channel, so you can watch it back again. It should be up, in an hour or something like that, I suppose. And yeah, give it a thumbs up. If you know anyone that you think would enjoy it, please point them in the direction as well. And yeah, I will hopefully see you all again next week. So have a fantastic week. Best luck with the practice, and I'll see you soon. Okay, take care then. Bye bye.